All right, here I am. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining for this homework video. We are working on an extra practice page that I passed out in class. So it is not from your practice book, but we are finding volume of composed figures. And the homework assignment was to do number 1, 4, and 5. So let me share that with you so you can see what it looks like. Oh, so much stuff. Oh, no. I need that to go away. Well, having a little issue here. It won't go away. Hold on a second. Technical difficulties. This hasn't happened for a while. Let's do this. Let's see if that will go away. There it goes. Then I can make my screen bigger and move myself out of the way. Okay. Oh, but you know what I have to do? Is I have to change it back to camera 1. Thanks for hanging in with me. Here we go. All right, focusing in. There it is. All right. So we're looking at number 1. Some of us, we got this finished in class, but if not, we can do it now. If you finished in class, just jump ahead to number 4. If not, there are a couple of different ways we could split. This is a figure that's going to be split into 3. For that bell. In class, we did figures that were split into 2. So now we're going to do this one together for 3. And we're going to go down and split like that. Now, you might notice these 2 on the end are going to be the same. So we're going to call those figure 1 and figure 2. And let's determine the length and the width and the height for those 2. So if I look at the length here, they're both going to have that same length. I'm going to look at parallel sides. I'm going to see that it can be 5. So both of their length is 5. Now, because we've drawn that line where we have, that's going to change this measure. 5 and 5 is 10. So we subtract that 10 from the 17 and now, I'm sorry, from the 27. And then it's going to be 17 centimeters for that part in the middle. I'm going to work on the back. So I have figure 1 and figure 2. 1 and 2. And we said the length of each of those was going to be 5. I'm going to wait, like I said in class, I'm going to wait to label it until the end. There's our length. Our width is here. We can see how wide it is, and we can't see it here, but we know it's the same. So again, there's no measure. I'm going to look for parallel sides, and I'm going to see that that width is a length or a measure of 3. So 5 times 3 for both of those. And then we just need the height. The height is out here for both of them. And we can see the height is going to be 8 centimeters. So I'm going to multiply. I can do 5 times 3 in my head. Then I'm going to multiply that 15 by 8. When I do that, if you're working along with me, each of these figures are going to have a total of 120 cubic centimeters. Okay. We're going to call this figure 3. Remember, we're circling when we label the figures, so we know that's not a measurement. That's telling us which figure we're working with. So I'm going to look here. What if I change colors? Here for this figure, here's our length. Good thing we already worked on this. We know that it is a length of 17 centimeters. So figure 3, 17 is our length. Our width is going to be the same. It's going to be this width here. So the width was 3, we determined. And the height, this one's a little bit shorter. So we have to look at this height. So I'm looking parallel. Well, what's going to happen here is when I look parallel, this tall side is 8, but I don't have all of it, right? You can kind of put a little dotted line. This is all I have. So I have to determine a parallel side. This little piece is going to be 3, and this one is going to be 5, and I can prove that with my parallel sides. So now we know the height is 5. So I'm going to do that work. I can do 3 times 5 in my head, and because we're multiplying, I'm going to do that first, and then I can do 15 times 17. You're working. Don't forget that 0 placeholder. So now we have 255 cubic centimeters. So we have kind of broken this composed figure apart to get 3 right rectangular prisms. We're going to put them back together now. So we're going to add 120 plus 120. I can do that in my head, I think, would be 240. And then I'll add the 255. So if you could not do that in your head, that's okay. Just line up 120 plus 120 plus 255, and you would just add down your columns. And we should get 495. That will go on our line, 495. And of course, we want the correct label, cubic centimeters. All right. Done with number 1. Let's look at number 4. So again, we could make a line going across this way and pull this little piece off the top to separate, or I could go down this side and have a long thin piece to pull off on the side. You can decide, or if you want to work with me, I'm going to go right there. So I'm going to have a little right rectangular prism on top. I'm going to call that figure 1, tiny little one there. And then I'll have this bigger right rectangular prism on the bottom. That's going to be figure 2. So let's start with figure 1. I might have some room to work on the side over here. Let's see. If I'm looking for the length is this little line that I just drew. So I'm going to look for a parallel side, and I'm going to see that that is going to be 2 inches. Here's my width going all the way across to the back. Again, I'm looking parallel, nothing here. So I'll go parallel with this bigger shape, and I will see that that is 9 inches. And then I have a tiny little height here. And again, I'm looking parallel sides. I see this 3. So I have 2 times 9 times 3 for figure 1. I'm going to do 2 times 3 equals 6. 6 times 9 equals 54. I'm going to squeeze it in there, and I'll label it when we're finished. I'm going to look now at this larger right rectangular prism. I'm going to look at the length, and that's easy to see. It's labeled for me. That would be 23 times the width is the same width as figure 1. They have a matching width of 9. And the height, it's a little bit shorter. I guess not that one there. So it's a little bit shorter than this whole side, which was 15. I can't use all of that because you see that it only goes to about right here. So I have to determine how much is that broken apart. So again, I'm going to look at parallel sides. I'm going to see that this 3 matches the parallel side. I'm going to take that 3 from the 15, and that leaves 12 inches. So I'm going to do 12. Oh, let's see, 23 times 9 times 12. I think I'm going to use the back. 23 times 9. I'm going to do that work. 207. 23 times 9. I'm going to now multiply that by 12. 207 times 12. Hopefully you're working along. And we'll get 2,484. 2,484. I'm going to add that tiny little one that we figured out a moment ago in figure 1. I'm going to add the 54. I'm going to just use this right here and add that 54. And we're going to get a final total of 2,538. So 2,538. Is that what I just said? Yes. And we're talking about, I'm going to write it the other way, cubic inches. So remember, we can write our volume in different ways. This says cubic centimeters or centimeters cubed. This is cubic inches or inches cubed. Both ways are correct. And let's do number 5. Okay, again, how am I going to split? I could put a line here and get a tiny little thin piece on the bottom, or I could put a line right here and have 2 pieces that separate apart like this. So I think I'm going to go here. So if you're working with me, let's put that little line there. We'll do figure 1, and then we'll do figure 2. All right, so figure 1, if I'm looking at the length, let's go right here. Here's the length. Now, I've split that 54 right there. So I can't say the length is 54. So I'm going to look parallel. And I'm going to know that this piece is 30. If I take that 30 and subtract it from the 54, this other part, when I get to figure 2, is going to be 24 millimeters. So I have 30 for my length. My width is here. I don't have a measure, so I'm looking across at parallel sides, and I see that it is 25. And then I'm looking at the height. Again, no measure, so I'm looking at parallel sides, another 25. All right, I think I'm going to need more room. 30 times 25 times 25. So let's do 25 times 25. I'll get 625. I'm going to take that and I'm going to hang the 0 of the 30. I'm going to do 625 times 3. And then I'm going to drop that 0 in place. 18,750. That's just, I better write it before I forget it. 18,750. That is my larger right rectangular prism. So there's one. Figure 2. Again, I'm looking for the length here. And I've already done the work where we split this 54 millimeters. I've already done that work. So I have 24 for the length. The width is going to be the same. So our width was 25. And then I have a tiny little height. I'm looking parallel. I have 2. All right. 25 times 2, that's easy enough. 25 times 2 is 50. So I'm going to do 24 times 50. I'm going to go to the back. I'm going to do 24. I'm going to hang my 50. I'm going to hang the 0 of the 50. So I'll do 24 times 5. And drop that 0. 1,200. 1,200. Now, I kind of lined these up so that I can leave them right here. I can do the adding right here. And I'm going to get 19,950 cubic millimeters for that answer. Okay, like I said, this is our last lesson of the module. We're going to work on this in the next class, so hopefully it will start to become more familiar to you. We will be doing number 2, 3, and 5 together in class tomorrow. Come with your questions, and I hope that you are starting to get used to this. You can do it. I will see you tomorrow.